guys, it's Adrian. I'm going to be talking about easy fixes. So, different, quick and easy things that you can do to fix common problems. I'll throw out a disclaimer there saying that this is not a diagnosis of something. If you actually have a real injury, and we're not talking just nagging aches and pains from things that you're doing in a day, you should go have somebody take a look at that, like a physical therapist or physiotherapist. What I want to talk about today is ankle stiffness, lack of range of motion, things like that. Where it might show up is in circumstances, say like a lunge, for example. I may go to lunge with one foot, and you may find that I have my knee traveling quite well. Okay? The whole knee over the toe thing is, for the most part, bunk. It's okay that I have this range of motion. So right now, this is a good form for lunge. When I go to this side, though, I may have a situation where I end up here, and I can't push that knee as far forward as something else. That actually isn't a knee issue at all. It has to do with my ankle lacking mobility. So generally speaking, in lunging, in squatting, things like that, we have a side that has more flexibility or range of motion in the ankle. And that sort of imbalance can cause a lot of problems up the rest of the chain all the way into the lower back. So this is one of those drills that I think everybody should do as part of their warm-up. There are certain circumstances. I've trained a couple of people, like a basketball player, for example, or a marathon runner, who has insane range of motion in their ankles. They have fantastic range of motion, and it's actually to the point where it's caused problems, because now they run into the Achilles being overstrained, possibly even torn a little bit, and now they need to strengthen the Achilles. So they need to do things like calf raising and stuff like that. So I'll show you when we get to that part. There may be a population that shouldn't be doing the ankle mobility drill. Now, first off, before you do this drill, it's wise that you grab a ball of some sort. I like the acupressure balls that come with the travel roller. You can take a tennis ball, you can take a lacrosse ball, you can take something, but probably not super hard. And all I'm going to do before I do this drill is try to loosen up some of the stiffness I may have in my feet. Okay, so right now I'm just kind of scanning. I have a whole video series on self-myofascial release. You should go check that out. I'm going to roll in through the heel, instep. And the reason why is because if the arch tendon of my foot is too wound up, I'm not going to be able to get much stretch as I come around the Achilles and into that calf. And that may be a cause or the reason why I have poor ankle mobility too, is because my feet are just too stiff. So I'm just going to roll that out. There's some trigger points. I'll spend some time on them. Of course, you want to do both sides. Try to keep the toes somewhat relaxed. Okay, so now that I've rolled that out, it should allow my feet to move naturally. So I'm just going to come over here. Now, a few things about this drill. Number one rule, heel stays on the ground. Okay, heel stays on the ground. The second thing is I need to keep my hips, my feet, and my shoulders as square to the wall as possible. A lot of the times you'll think people will accomplish something and they're just actually compensating because I may be turning myself into the movement. Okay, everything is as square to the wall as I can. I'm going to start fairly close. I'm going to start on this left side. This back foot, there's not a lot going on there. Okay, this back foot is really just kind of there for balance. Again, I don't want to be twisted. I don't want to be doing something funky and torque in the knee. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start fairly close to the wall. Again, I never let my heel come off the ground. I'm going to go with a knee touch and a kick out. It's important that you kick out. I see a lot of the times people just doing this, or they get into it, they're just trying to tear or stretch. That Achilles is not going to work. Knee touch, kick out, knee touch, kick out. I like to go 3 times forward. I was able to touch it each time. This time I'm going to go twice to the outside. Okay, so a little bit of external rotation. And I'm going to try once inside my big toe. Again, keeping as square to the wall as possible. Now I was able to touch the wall every time with that. So I'm going to slide an inch back instead. Start the whole process over again. So I'm going 1, 2, 3 forward. See if I can get to the outside. Again, I'm slow. I don't need to rip into this too fast. Okay, and 1 to the inside. So again, I was able to achieve that without my heel, see, coming off the ground. Keep your heel on the ground. Now, if you happen to be in runners that have a really thick heel or a sole, you need to take your shoes off for this drill, because you're artificially putting yourself in a position where your heels are going to be able to have more, mobility than you think they do, because you're automatically lifted to get out of your shoes, or hopefully you're in flat shoes when you're weight training to begin with anyway. So I was able to accomplish that. I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going again. 1, 2, 3. It's getting harder. 1. And I'm trying not to compensate in other parts of my body to accomplish this. 2 and 3. Okay. So I know that for myself, I'm not going to get any further back than that. So I'm going to take a tape measurement. Now you could use painter's tape if you're doing this at home, and just leave it as your mark on the ground so you can see over time how well you're improving with this. So I'm just going to take a tape measurement, and I basically went 4 inches away from the wall with my left foot. So you don't have to do this all the time, but it's just a good idea the first time to check how far the distance or the gap between both ankles are. Now some history, about a year ago I rolled my right ankle, pretty bad. Couldn't put weight on it, it went purple the whole bit. So for a long time my right ankle had serious mobility issues. I had to use this drill, some calf stretching, some self-modified release to get that ankle to go back to normal. And it's taken me some time, so I'm pretty close. Most of the time I'm pretty close. So let's start on the right side. So again, I'm close to the wall. I don't want to be too far away from the wall, even though I know I'm going to be able to accomplish it. I want to be able to build that range of motion. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go 2 to the outside. And again, go 1 to the inside of the big toe, so that internal rotation seemed all good. I'm going to slide out an inch. 1, 2, 3. Let's go outside my big toe. It's a little harder to do. Again, I don't want my hips doing something funky to compensate for that. Good. 1 to the inside. I'm going to slide back a little bit again. 1, 2, 3. Notice my heel has stayed down. Everything I do, my heel stays down. A bit tough. Okay, I'm going to slide back just a little bit. I think I might be able to get it. I can get that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely harder than that left side. And that one, I can't touch. See that distance there? I could force it, but that's not wise to do. So I'll give it a little bit of a stretch, and internal rotation is supposed to be okay. So what I'm feeling when I do that, let me measure this. So it's funny, it's actually 4.5 inches. So no wonder it's a little bit more. So the funny thing is my left now, which was actually the okay side before, I've been working at this so much that I've now created an imbalance between my right and my left. And I figured this out last week as well, but I've been trying to work on getting that to be a normal. So not a bad idea to measure it. What I do feel though, even when I was starting close to the wall, because of that rolling of the ankle that happened a year ago, in here, in the bottom of the ankle, the front, I can feel that scar tissue, and me trying to fight against that. So I know that when I go to do things like lunging, for example, when I go to lunge, my knee will tend to cave in, and it's tough for me to teach my hip to hold it in the right spot because I may be fighting some scar tissue that's down in this ankle. So this ankle mobility drill will teach your ankles to be as even as possible as far as range of motion goes. And that way, the next joint up the system, which is the knee, and the next joint up the system, which is the hip, and the next group of joints, which would be your lumbar spine, that whole system isn't going to be compromised because of my ankle. So give it a shot. I haven't yet to find a person who doesn't have some benefit that they can find from this. Now, I was getting 4.5 inches or 4 inches on my left side away from the wall. Like I said, I had a couple people that had extreme range of motion that they could achieve in their ankles, and we're talking like 6 inches. If you can get that far away from the wall, the drill isn't overly important to you. So take a tape measure, measure it the first time. If you've got more than 1/2 inch difference between each of them and you're being true to yourself where your heel is down, then you definitely need to be working on this, because again, that's going to cause things like when I lunge, I'm going to only go a certain way and then be able to go really low, and that's okay, and that's going to ring up the whole system where you're going to end up with either knee issues, hip issues, or lower back issues. Any questions, give me a shout.